Having a corporate or charity golf event? Backswing Golf Events can supply your tournament with personable, professional golfers to entertain and fundraise on the golf course. They can accommodate any size group, whether it be 3 players to 500. They are your team. From range lessons, Beat the Pro, and Pro-Am style roaming, they're making lasting memories one swing at a time. So make sure to check out backswinggolfevents.com or call us direct at 661-316-3093 and book your pros now.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to On Par with Amanda. Another great morning. Mr. Bill Cuevas, the golf father, he's joining us. Hello.
Hola.
Hola. Well, we are going to talk about, we haven't in a while, the Live Golf Tour. And so the CEO, Seth, I feel like these guys just ride this tidal wave of whatever's happening in the moment. They're reactive. And so it's interesting. So he, in a recent, sit down to talk about the Live Tour, he was asked about it. He said, we don't think the division is in the best interest of the game. He said, but as a former businessman who looks at things, I think disruption is a good thing. I think, so it starts to sound like he's in favor. He said, I think good things have happened from that, certainly. The players are better off in a lot of ways from what it was. But then he dives into detail and he says, there's a lot of flaws with the Live Tour, even from a business, a golf professional business side, where he says that they're focusing on team play. They're making it more significant than team play will ever be. He said that he doesn't think that people really care, and he doesn't see how this business model will survive. He said they can fund it for as long as they want, but no matter how much money you have, at some point, burning it doesn't feel very good. So we'll get into some of the other comments he made later, but I feel, once again, so we all knew everybody was against Live when it first came out. And then after the lawsuit and all of that stuff, everybody kind of cooled their jets and said, you know what, we're gonna just kind of continue rolling and, and focus on the PGA Tour, what we need to do, which is, that's all you can do. You have this other tour that comes in, but now I feel like he's backtracking a bit. I'm not sure that he knows how to respond in a way that doesn't get him into trouble.
Well, being that you mentioned the lawsuit, just last week, the last and only original player also took himself out of the lawsuit. So all of the original PGA Tours, the big names, Mickelson and everybody else, they are no longer part of the lawsuit against the PGA. All of them are gone. So while there's a lawsuit, they all have removed themselves from it. Why? Well, I guess we'll find out in the future. I think, I have a hard time. I don't want to say I don't take it seriously, but golf, the way we were all brought up, whether you enter the game in the 30s or 3 years old or whatever, we're taught the history of golf, what it is about individualism. There's no it's one of the few sports that if you lose, you don't get paid. If you don't contend, you got to fight to get that paycheck. So where I think Live is, different because you're getting paid whether you win, lose, or anything else. Does it take away from it? I don't know. I think the PGA Tour is going to be forever. No, that's not going to go anywhere. You have a lot of people that are diehards. They're going to stick with that system and what it represents to the game. Is there room for evolving? Yeah, it's called Top Golf. Top Golf evolved the golf industry for families and everything else. Is Live doing it? They're doing something different. They're doing this thing. It's like a scramble every week. You know what I mean? So,
and can you really call it? I know it's competing in the sense of like against the PGA Tour. It is a competitor in the sense of that it's golf and it's taking some of PGA Tour's players, but it's kind of like backswing. When I look at other people that do similar things, they're, I guess, in business sense, a competitor, but are they really if they're not doing exactly the same thing? And they're doing so
they're doing a version of the same thing.
Right. So my thing about it is, so he makes a comment about the Masters. So let me read you this. He says, I'm proud of the Masters because they returned civility to the game. He said, that's how they dealt with it. That's how we want to deal with it again. He said, everybody is our invited guest. That's consistent. And I'll say that today, and I'll greet the players when I see them for sure. They're all invited to our dinner. We're treating them the way that we would treat everybody else. But he's still putting, a divide.
There is a divide. Absolutely. There's a divide.
It's funny because in that statement right there, how he's like, we treat everybody the way that they should be treated. We will still acknowledge them. Yes. I just have a really hard time with that statement because I feel like you could literally copy and paste that into a movement about segregation.
And that's what today's world
is the same thing. I know we're not talking about black and white, but we're talking about live tour and
it's with everything nowadays. It's not just color, it's everything.
No, and so it makes me sick because he is sitting there acting like he's doing a really great thing for accepting the live golf tours.
As the owner of it, the CEO, whatever his title is, he can do that. And we do see in life, unfortunately, that there's a lot of knockoffs. You had there's like Top Golf. You have other companies that have attempted to and are attempting to do what Top Golf has done and where they're at. So it's different and unique. Live Golf, they have money. So I was watching the History Channel, and they talked about, because I love that kind of stuff, looking at all those things. So they were talking about the Rockefeller era, Carnegie, Carnegie, a guy that has Carnegie Hall. They were talking about how the railroads ran everything, and they were doing this and they do that. And you know what? The one with the most money that wasn't settled, they went and copied everybody else, and then they crushed everybody else because they had money. In today's world, that's the way I see live. You have this huge PGA, right?
They're never going to run out of funding.
No. And now you have Live Tour that came in and said, well, you know what? We got a lot of money too. And we're going to throw our hat in the ring and see what happens. But it's not. And you see that already after the first year, they changed it. They went from individual to team. They're pushing this whole team aspect of golf. And me and Biggs are our team in Spark Golf, but we also have our individual,
right?
You know what I mean? So when I watch it, I listen with the volume off because I'm not keen on what's going on. I love David Faraday, the rest not so much, but I don't see it going anywhere because they have that waste of money. They can do it. They can afford to waste that kind of money.
Yeah.
But right now they're going to keep changing, and everything's changing and evolving. And the players that signed their lives away, basically, for them to get out of those contracts, whether they feel it's right, wrong, it was like 100 times the amount of what they got paid. So if you got $5 million, you're going to be paying $500. It was ridiculous. I know it's basically,
you might as well say you can't leave,
You can't leave. So you got what you want. You don't have to compete to win money and stuff like that. Money. You also have the guys that are getting let go from the Live Tour. So you can go on there and they think that you're the next best thing. So you go in there and you're like, you got kids leaving right out of college and going to Live, right? So now what happens when they fail?
Yeah.
At least when you go to the PGA, right? If you qualify, you qualify. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify. You earn your stuff. When you're given something, here's your silver spoon, but there's no food on it. You're going to have to get your own food. And if we don't like what you do, we're going to take our silver spoon back, and then you're on your own. And I think we're starting to see that more with the people that
Yeah.
are being let go and they're trying to get back on. It's not like the PGA Tour. Well, I can win my card back.
Yeah, and I think just in general, they are two different things, and we have to remember
Totally.
that.
Yep.
But it does make me sad that someone in as high of position as Seth to speak in regards that they are like,
they're gonna tolerate them. We're
yeah,
gonna
we'll
tolerate you.
it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I'm interested to see. I think the next year, the next strong year will really determine if Liv is going to keep pushing and, like you said, just using it because they have the funding or because it's actually being impactful and
that's the thing.
Away.
They were talking about like the crazy stuff about points, getting FedEx points. How? If Liv Golf is limited to what they're doing and how they're doing it, they're limited to the fields. It's a 3-day event. It's this, it's that. How do you collect FedEx points for those events?
It's going to be a long road, and I think if we ever get to a point where they can coexist, I don't think that's any time in the immediate future. I really don't, and I think it's going to take a lot of ingenuity and innovation to try to move the two closer together rather than further apart. So
absolutely.
Well, we will keep you updated, folks at home, on the progression of this as you're watching both PGA Tour and Liv each week, and seeing the differences. Write into us. We'd love to hear your comments about it. We've obviously shared our opinions. Thank you, Mr. Golf Father.
Thank you.
For me for another week. And for those of you that at home, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful next week, and we will catch you next time. And until then, keep swinging for par.